So some businesses will buy raw materials and then through their plant, process those raw materials into products that they produce, and then also package and distribute to outlets where they then sell the products to their customers. It's important to note that the customers can be individuals who actually buy these products for consumption, or they can be another business organization actually that buys in bulk and now sells to retailers or consumers. And then those people who they buy items from, this business buys items from, we collectively call them suppliers, those who supply items to the business. So for this business to acquire these physical assets here that it needs to run its operation, it needs money. And that's where funds come in. So you get money in order to fund acquisition of these physical assets, and also in order to run the operations of the business. So they say, as you run the operations, you make money, but they say you need money to make money. So you need this initial money to be able to set up all these things and start running the operations before you are now able to start making money as a business. So there is something called governance, risk, and compliance, which I won't bother about other than to just say that it provides a governance around a rule, so to speak, rules and regulations around how things are done in this organization. So a simple thing is that a business, somebody is responsible for this business. So the person's account numbers, for instance, bank accounts must be different from the business bank account. So that individual alone should not have the ability to go to the bank account of this business and withdraw money. No, it must be a couple of people that will jointly sign any instrument that is used to withdraw money from the account of the bank or the business. So these are some of the governances that ensures that the business is run in a proper way. So again, you need to ensure the security of the assets and people of the business. So recently when we had this NSAS protest in Nigeria, during the protest, there was a lot of mob attack on a number of businesses, and the people went in and looted, like ShopRite in Lagos or so. They looted a lot of things, and then a number of other businesses actually suffered the same fate. So you have to ensure that there's appropriate security that actually protects the asset and the people, of the business. And then, in fact, in certain times, these days, particularly in this part of the world, there are certain organizations you work for, you are not encouraged to display your ID card. Because once you do that, you become a target for kidnapping. So again, these are security issues. And as you will see, depending on the business sector here that you are operating, your assets may be even more prone to security threats. For instance, in the energy industry, the oil and gas specifically, part of the assets of a business entity within the oil and gas industry will be pipelines, heavy, big pipelines that traverse thousands of kilometers. And oil will be flowing through these pipelines, or gas will be flowing through them. Now, in some cases, actually petroleum products like fuel will be flowing, or kerosene will be flowing through this pipeline. And criminally minded people can decide in local communities where not many people, where life is not very active, so you don't see people around those areas that the pipelines pass through. So people can actually go there, criminal elements can actually go there puncture the pipeline open in order to get out fuel so that fuel will flow out. They collect the fuel and they go and sell to make money. So there are those criminal actions against the assets of organizations that you need to protect the business from. And that's why security is key for every business. And I've actually also talked about people and then around ensuring that the people are equipped with the right skills, because that is what will enable you to perform as a business and meet your defined objectives or defined targets within the fiscal year you are operating. So this essentially captures the key character, the key fundamentals around the business operation. That picture up here just highlights the typical yearly operation of a business. So at the beginning of every year, what usually happens is that the accountable party for that business, which is, remember I said CEO or MD, along with his or her top leadership team, would actually go out in what is called a retreat, and they define at the beginning of the year maybe, and define what would be their target, their performance target for that business year. So their performance target can be that we would have to achieve a revenue of, say, $1 million, for instance, in that year. That might just be their performance target too. Now, as the top leadership, they will then look at all that they need to put in place to make sure that the business operates efficiently and be able to achieve that target. And their job will be to put that in place and drive the rest of the people within the organization to work towards achieving that objective. So, but things usually don't work as you plan because, again, like I said at the beginning, nobody has the crystal ball to see everything that will happen in the future. So as they are sitting down planning at the beginning of the year, they don't know what will happen even a month after that meeting. They don't know what will happen 2 months after, let alone knowing what will happen towards the end of the year even. So a good example then is that as you start running, as you start running the business within the year, with a plan that the top leadership has set out, you will now see that things will start happening that will disrupt those plans. For instance, 2020, nobody knew that COVID-19 will come. And all businesses had set out their targets for 2020 revenue. But what did they see? They saw COVID-19 and a lot of them could not even survive existence. So they actually died, the businesses. So that crystal ball is the challenge of leadership for business. So, but beyond the external things that can influence the direction of a business, there are also the internal activities. So you remember, you said you would achieve 1 million, and then that is predicated on the fact that your plant will run for, say, 200 days out of 365 days of the year, and you use the other ones for maintenance and other things. But unfortunately for you, for instance, the plant just developed fault and went down, and you have to wait for ages before the parts to fix them actually would come from China or from United States or from wherever. So you are not producing the products that you would sell to make that money because your plant is down. So you see this plant here. So, and until you fix it, you can't make money as projected. So, and all those things were probably you would not have foreseen as at the time they sat down to come up with this performance target. So, and what that leads us to is that at the end of that business year, so a lot of internal issues and internal business dynamics could have actually led the organization to achieve a business performance that is way below the business target. And then you have a gap. So, and what again happens is that the same group of people, leadership, would go and sit down again in a retreat to look back and review what actually happened, what went wrong, where did we get it right, where did we get it wrong. And in that assessment, they will actually itemize all the things that went wrong, that stopped them from achieving the target. So say at the end of that business year, instead of achieving $1 million that they set for themselves as revenue, they only achieved $500,000. So they would then review what went wrong. Okay, the plant went down. We lost some of our staff to competing companies. More companies that are operating within industry just cropped up in within the same market, within the same environment we're operating, and they started sharing some of the customers that we have. So the customers were not buying as much as they used to buy from us, all those sort of experiences. So they will itemize all those, and they will then sit down and come up with improvements, initiatives that are usually called change projects, that they will implement in order to return that organization to the path of ensuring that they achieve the performance targets. And those projects usually a lot of projects will be generated, but there are constraints. Either you won't have enough money to execute all of them. There are so many constraints, or you don't even have enough time to execute all of them. So you will be forced to do some sort of prioritization and select those that will have the greatest impact. And then you fund those projects, they executed. And when they finish the execution, the outcome of those executions, you have to embed it back into the operations of the business so that that improvement that is expected to come from the change projects will now be embedded in the organization. And the cycle just continues. So the next year you run through again the same business process, checking the target against the actual performance, and the cycle continues like that. And that is essentially how a business is run. So I think I will move on here. I've said enough on this. So again, just to check our understanding, can we, the kids, raise up your hand and just each person just, I want about 5 things that can go wrong and stop a business from achieving its set targets. But I just want one person to say one thing at a time. So, Mma, go ahead. I can see your hand is up.
So people could steal the supplies and the money from the business.
Yeah, that's true. So the business can make revenue, and like I said, even though there are controls that will not allow one person to go and sign money out of the business account, but even the multiple individuals, who are set up to be able to sign before money can go out of the account, can collude to defraud the company. And so you're right. If there's a collusion that led to defrauding the company of some money, then it will impact on their ability to hit their targets. So Joshua, go
on. Businesses could enter that market that a certain business is in, and if they have much lower prices or a higher quality of product, then this could lower demand for a business and cause less revenue for that business.
Yeah, so that's true. So if you're in a particular sector that has competition, and the quality of your product is not comparable to the quality of the same product coming from other competitors, then you can lower your share of the market, and it can reduce your revenue. Yeah, so you're correct, Joshua. Thank you. So Tion, Tion, go ahead.
Lack of planning, like if you don't plan the whole structure of how your business is going to go. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So lack of planning, if you didn't articulate clearly, you come out and you say, I want to make $1 million. That is not enough to make $1 million. Otherwise, everybody will be making $1 million. If it's just to come and say, I want to make $1 million, then everybody will be very rich in the world. So you have to match that desire to make $1 million with a clear plan how you will make it. And if that plan is clear enough, it will be executable. So yes, there are risks that can come, unforeseen risks that can actually happen. But when that happens, you can be excused. I mean, every CEO, every MD can be excused for COVID-19 because it's clearly beyond their control. But some failures are outrightly due to lack of planning. So yeah, thank you, Tio. That's a good point. Chizu.
A natural disaster can affect the pace of business.
Yeah, you're right. So there are cases where natural disasters happen. So it's almost like the case of COVID-19. COVID-19 can be in some sense actually taken as a natural disaster, but you are right, yes. Those natural disasters can destroy the assets of an organization and